Imagine you have 1 million sales records in Excel. If each row stores the customer's full name, location, salesperson, region, and product type and product category, then Excel has to store the same words for 1 million times. And that's a lot of unwanted wasted memory. But what you can do, you can replace the repetitive text values with ID numbers in your transaction table, and you can create a separate dimension table with all the descriptive items in that table. Later you can connect that dimension table to the transaction table with one-to-many relationship. That's how a professional business intelligence systems are designed. But before showing you the full process, I want to show you something which is much more important: the memory consumption for different data type in Microsoft Excel. So let's get started. In each cell of Excel we have data, but there are different types of data, and you can see the data type. One is Boolean. Boolean is basically the true false. We can represent it by 0 or 1, or we can write true or false. There are only two possible values, very memory efficient. It will consume only 1 byte. Now if you come to the integer part, which is 32-bit, it will consume 4 bytes, used for whole numbers within the 32-bit range. But for the whole number, which is 64-bit, and the power pivot in Excel stores whole numbers as 64-bit, so it will consume 8 bytes. It doesn't matter how much the number can be, 8 digit or 9 digit or 10 digit. It doesn't matter, it will only consume 8 bytes. Similarly, for decimal number, it doesn't matter how much digit number it is or how much values after the decimal, it will consume only 8 byte. So the memory consumption is not very high for decimal, for whole number, integer, or boolean. And if you see the date, time, and currency, they also consume 8 bytes. And you might be wondering why date, time, this is more like a text value, is consuming only 8 byte, because Excel stores this number as a serial number. Serial number means that 1 January is labeled as 1. Similarly, 2 January of 1990 is labeled as 2, and so on. So for this date we have a serial number in Excel, and that is stored, and that is a whole number, so it will consume 8 bytes for each value. But the problem happens when you deal with text. So here you can see it is apple, and it is saying it is variable. That means it can change. And if you look over here, it is saying that 2 bytes into number. That means each character will consume 2 byte. So here we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. That means 5 into 2. So it will consume 10 byte. Now imagine you have a column with a larger text values. There are some product description or product type or product category or customer's full name. Then you can get an understanding that how much memory it will consume. Similarly, for long text, just like customer purchased a blue laptop, this is a long text, and this is also a variable. Memory increases with the number of characters. So if we increase the number of characters, the memory consumption will increase. So it will be a very good decision if we somehow replace all the text values with numbers, and then we remove the text related fields from the transaction table. Transaction table means it will be the fact table. So if we can somehow remove the text related fields and replace it with numbers, then we can save a lot of memory. So if I give you an example, let's say we have a name column in F transaction table. Here the name is Alex, second name can be Lee, third name can be Ahmad, fourth name can be Lisa. So you can see there are different number of characters. Now if I labeled the name as numbers such as name ID, so Alex can be 1, Lee can be 2, Ahmad can be 3, and Lisa can be 4. And then we can remove this name table from the F transaction, and we will create another dimension table with all the names of the customers. So here will be the name, and here will be the ID of those customers, and then we will connect the ID to the name ID of the transaction table. Then we can extract our related information from this table. So let's start the video how we can do this in Excel's Power Query. Alright, we are in Excel now, and let me introduce you to the dataset. Let me make some adjustment over here. So if you look from column A to D, it is showing you all the information related to the transaction. First column is representing transaction ID. The second column representing transaction date, transaction time, and transaction quantity. From column E to F, you can find out the information related to the store ID and store location name. From G to K, you can find out all the information related to the product ID, the unit price of that product, what is the product category, the product type, and product detail. If you see, the lower Manhattan is repeating 17 times, whereas the Hell's Kitchen is repeating 4 times, and after that again lower Manhattan, Hell's Kitchen, and so on. Same happens with the product related columns. You can see for each product ID we have the unit price, product category, product type, and product detail. So there can be multiple product ID. So if I insert a drop down, and let's say if we select any of the product, it can be 1, and for the product ID 1, you can see the product category, the product type, and product detail all are repeating. Now let's open up a Power Query editor and load this data into Power Query. We will click from table or range, and this range will automatically convert into a table. Let's name this one as source. Delete the last step, and we will create another table by referencing this source table. Right click and click on reference, and let's name it as F transaction. Let's select transaction ID, transaction date, transaction time, and transaction quantity. Select store ID, product ID, and unit price. Right click and remove other columns. So now we have the information about our transactions, the stores, and the product. Select any one of the column, Ctrl A, go to transform, and click on detect data type. There is an option in the transaction date column which is using locale. If your data sets to an external data source or in a database, or it can be in CSV format, and let's say there is a change in the format of the date column of the dataset and the regional settings of your computer, then it will be problematic. I have discussed this in a video. You can find out the link of the video at the top. I'll put the link in the description also. But in this case, the data sits in this current Excel file, so we do not need to use the using locale option. So let it be as it is. Now again go to the source table and click on the reference to create another table, and we will name it as D store. We will remove all columns except the store ID and store location. Remove other columns, and we will remove all the duplicates from over here. Now we have only 3 store ID, one for Lower Manhattan, another one is for Hell's Kitchen, and the third one is for Astoria. Now Ctrl A, go to transform and detect data type. Now again go to the source table and click on reference to make another table. Let's name it as D product. We will remove everything except the product related columns. Let's click on the remove other columns. Select any one of the column, press Ctrl A and detect data type. Go to home and remove the duplicate values. Now select all the columns and go to transform and click on detect data type. Now we have 3 tables over here. One is F transaction, the second one is D store, and the third one is D product. Now we will load this 3 tables into Power Pivot, and we will make the relationship between F transaction, D store, and D product. Go to home, close and load to. We will create only the connection, add this to the data model and click OK. Now click on the Power Pivot and click on the Manage button. Here we have the 3 tables, F transaction, D store, and D product. Now let's go to diagram view and we will connect the 3 tables together. So let's bring F transaction over here, D store, and D product, at the top. Make it a little bit bigger. So now we can see the whole picture, that what columns we have available in each table. Now I will drag the store ID from D store and drag it over the store ID of F transaction. And if you look over here, a relationship has been built between the D store table and F transaction table, and the nature of this relationship is one to many. So the D store is on the one side of the relationship, whereas the F transaction is in the many side of the relationship. One side of the relationship means that the store ID is not repeating in D store table, whereas the store ID is repeating in F transaction. This is why it is in the many side. Now let's drag the product ID from D product and drag it over the F transaction table. And similarly, another relationship has been built, and the nature of the relationship from one to many. The D product is on the one side of the relationship because of the unique values in this table of the product ID, whereas the F transaction is in the many side because the product ID is repeating in F transaction. This type of data model is known as star schema data model, where all the dimension table will be connected to the F transaction table by a one-to-many relationship. Now let's go to data view, and we will create a measure in F transaction which will be the total sales value. Let's name it total sales. We will use the sumX function which will be iterating to the F transaction table, and from F transaction table we will multiply the quantity column with the unit price column. Click OK, and now we have the total sales or revenue. You can say any other name. Put a comma over here. We can use the dollar sign as it is English United States. If you want, you can reduce the decimal place. Now click on save. So this data model will be saved in the Power Pivot. Let's go to Excel and let's create another page. Let's name it analysis. And now we will insert a pivot table from the data model. Now we will drag the store location name in the rows section, and we will drag the total sales from F transaction. Go to design, report layout, and we will show it in tabular form. We do not need the grand total. So here we have the store location and the sales for that location. And let's put a bar chart over here. So here we have the bar chart for each store and the total sales. Remove the field button, and here we can write total sales by stores. Let's drag it over here. Remove the grid line, remove the data label, and put a data label to the side of the bar. Let's remove the grid line and go to design, format, shape fill. We don't want any kind of fill, and shape outline, no outline. Or you can give it a fill of little gray color. We have the Lower Manhattan, Hell's Kitchen, and Astoria. So you can create a dashboard on this data model, but you may ask that how the data model is optimized. So if I go to the data model, and let me show you what is happening. So if you look at the Astoria, what is happening when I drag this Astoria from the store location in the pivot table, then in the Power Pivot, what is happening? For Astoria, it is picking the 3 as a store ID, and by following the relationship, it will filter the F transaction table. So if I again go to the data view, and if I show you at the F transaction what is happening, so if I choose only 3 from over here, then you can see at the bottom the total sales has been changed. And if you again go to the coffee shop dashboard, then you can see that it is reflecting the same number in the pivot table. So how it is optimized? Because now only the store ID is repeating. The store name is not repeating. We have 50,000 rows. So the store ID is repeating 50,000 times, not the location name or the product name or the product category. Nothing is repeating. Only the values are repeating, and the numerical values consume very less memory. If I go to transaction table, and now what I'm going to do, let's remove this product ID filter. And what I am going to do, I will create another column and I will create a total sales column over here. Let's name it as total revenue. Let's multiply the quantity and unit price together. Here we got the total revenue, and now we will create pivot table from this table. Press Alt and VT and we will go to the analysis tab, and let's put a pivot table over here. Let's drag store location name and drag total revenue over here. Let's format it. Click on the number format, go to currency, 0 decimal, click OK. Go to design, report layout, show in tabular form. Let's create a bar chart from this one also. And now we have a bar chart created from the pivot table from the Excel table. And now we have a bar chart. Let's name it as total revenue by store. Now we got a bar chart and a pivot table from the Excel table. And if I show you that what is happening for Astoria, if I go to the transaction table and let's select 3 from over here, then you can see the Astoria is repeating 50,000 times. So it will consume a lot of memory. And for each store ID, the store location is repeating, and we have some extra columns like product category, product type, and product detail, which consumes a lot of memory. I hope you have enjoyed watching this video. If you find this video useful, please like this video, share it with someone who can be benefited from this tutorial. I have created another video talking the data strategy in another video. Let's say you have data in external data source or in CSV format, and there is a change in the regional settings date format and the data source date format. There is a hidden feature in Excel's Power Query. You have to enable that feature and everything will sync together. If you want to learn more about that topic, you can watch this video. I have explained everything in detail in this video with 3 cases. And if you need any kind of solution related data strategy or business intelligence solutions or dashboard design or dashboard development, you can directly contact me. I will give my Gmail and LinkedIn link in the description. See you in the next one. Thanks for watching.